I were to ask someone, what is a book made out of? They might say paper, ink, glue, and that'd be right. Or they might say chapters, stories, ideas, and that'd also be right. Because when we talk about a book, sometimes we mean the physical container, the paper, ink, glue, and sometimes we mean the conceptual container, the stories, chapters, ideas. But most of the time, we're talking about both at once, even when we don't realize it. In my work, I argue that the physical and conceptual structures of knowledge don't just coincide, they actively co-create one another. In my dissertation, I look at a series of case studies from 16th and 17th century England where I see extreme versions of that at play. To give you just one example, in 1598, Christopher Marlowe publishes the first English translation of a classical Greek poem that tells the story of Hero and Leander. In Marlowe's version, when Leander first sees Hero, she's standing in Venus's temple on a floor made of glass. Looking through the floor, she sees an array of statues showing stories from Greek mythology. Looking at the floor, she sees a reflection of herself. All around her is Venus's majestic temple showing scenes from the goddess's life. And embroidered on her sleeve, very tiny, is Venus once again falling in love with Adonis. So the glass floor is doing three things at once here. It's a window onto the classical past. It's a mirror, the translator's reiteration of the story. And it's a lens, miniaturizing some elements and magnifying others. Through the floor's three attributes, its transparency, reflectivity, and refractivity, we can also see Marlowe's take on his own role as poet-translator. He acknowledges his classical source text. He makes his own iteration of that story. He miniaturizes the contributions of other poets while magnifying his own. So Venus and Adonis, also the title of a contemporary poem by William Shakespeare, is shrunken down into a tiny marginal reference, while the temple, described in a single word, lordly, in the Greek original, is amplified into an elaborate 22-line set piece in English. Marlowe's showing off here, of course, but his metaphor is not mere flourish. Metaphor is methodology. In 16th century England, glass and garments and feathers and leathers and lace, these are the tools authors use to describe new forms, to theorize shifting genres, and to articulate cultural anxieties about artistry, originality, and the place of English literature on an increasingly global stage. Thank you.